a very similar thing is happening with the Somali fraud case coming out of Minnesota. You had fraud to the tune of, it's been uncovered, at least $1 billion, but now there are reports that this number has climbed up to $8 billion. News Nation, where I work, had a report that something similar is happening in Maine, to where a group of Somalis created fake NGOs in which they claimed that they were feeding hungry children and giving services to autistic kids and housing the homeless. And actually what they were doing was embezzling billions of dollars from American taxpayers. And of course, people pointing this out and how horrific and unacceptable it is to take advantage of the immense generosity of the American people to be gifted with the greatest privilege on earth, American citizenship, and then turn around and throw it in our faces by stealing from us. Somehow being upset about that is racist. So here we have a clip of a Minneapolis city council member making just this argument.
Thing I do want to say, and obviously everyone knows that our president is racist, xenophobic, Islamophobic, and we are going to fight that. America has a history of fighting and stopping those kind of individuals who continue to divide people and divide communities.
Kathy, let's start with you. I mean, how does that make you feel when you hear immigrants calling the president, defending your taxpayer dollars, racist? I mean, they're trying to erase the distinction between citizen and non-citizen with this race card. That's how it strikes me. What say you?
Absolutely. My first thought, talking about facts, because that's what he was saying. Another fact is that his country of origin really is a hellhole. And so that's a fact, and they don't want to talk about that particular aspect of it. But if you come to America, you don't get to live in little Somalia with better Wi-Fi. You come here to become an American. Assimilation is not a suggestion. It must be a mandate. Immigrants should absolutely be required to assimilate. They should assimilate to our laws, our languages, our culture, our values. And if you benefit from America, then you should also be forced to bear the responsibilities of being an American. For me, this is very simple. This isn't about skin color. It isn't about accent. It isn't about what kind of clothing you want to wear, what kind of food you want to eat. I don't care what kind of food you want to eat. I don't care about what kind of clothing you prefer to wear at wedding ceremonies. I care about three things. Do you obey our laws? Do you work instead of loot or welfare programs? And is your loyalty to America or to some foreign government or clan? And if the answer is no to any of those three questions, then you need to get the hellfire and damnation up out of our country. And I think Donald Trump does a great job in speaking very plainly to this. America is worth protecting, and we need to understand the value of this nation. This is the greatest country that has ever been created, but it's the greatest country, not because you and I are so particularly special, but it's because we're founded upon Judeo-Christian values, and that was interpreted into a constitution, laws. And so we must obey, must follow these laws, and we must demand that every person who comes to this country leave the allegiance of the hole they crawled out of and pick up a new allegiance and become an American.
That is so beautifully stated, Kathy. Charles, they're now calling Trump not just racist for being against Somali fraud, but also for this clip, of course, at his Pennsylvania rally this week. He started talking about Ilhan Omar again. Let's play that.
Do we have any individuals from Somalia in the group? Please raise your hand. That's for Minnesota, That's called the Great Big Minnesota Scam with one of the dumbest governors ever in history. I love this Ilhan Omar, whatever the hell her name is, with the little turban. I love her. She comes in, does nothing but bitch. She's always complaining. She comes from a country where, it's considered about the worst country in the world, right? They have no military, they have no nothing, they have no parliament. They don't know what the hell the word parliament means. They have nothing. They have no police. They police themselves. They kill each other all the time. I love it. She comes to our country, and she's always complaining about the Constitution allows me to do this. We ought to get her the hell out. She married her brother in order to get in, right? She married her brother. Can you imagine if Donald Trump married his sister? Beautiful. She's a beautiful person. If I married my sister to get my citizenship, do you think I'd last for about 2 hours, or would it be something less than that?
Charles, your reaction to the...
Oh, my reaction. Okay, I'm sorry. Was that it? So that's perfectly piggybacking what Kathy said. What Kathy said was so beautiful. It was right. I agree with it. If they don't want to be part of America, they want to spit on America, they need to go. But he is not helping in how he frames it. There's a line he needs to go to, and pushing the line is what he does best. And sometimes he needs to. Does he need to chop the line, cross it, set it on fire? I don't know. Because you know, the clip before that had I think you said the Somali was in the city council, and he was calling everyone racist. And I'm watching that clip and I'm thinking, is it 2020 still? Are we still just calling everything right? Are we still buying this stuff? But unfortunately, some people do. And those who might be on the fence will see the clip and say, see, it's racist. What he's saying is not wrong. There are rumors that she married her brother. We need to find out if that's the case, because that's kind of a problem. She does. A lot. It's true. It's true. It's true. Right. And she's an elected official, and she's always talking about how bad the country is. That is a problem. All that is true. I don't think it helps his cause in the delivery as much. There should be a better way to do, like Kathy did, talked about who we want and who we don't want. You know, just totally dismiss the racist stuff out of hand. That's silly. I want you to come here if you want to be, part of the building the American society, and you assimilate. But if you come here to, like Kathy says, create your own little country and have your own little laws and your own little police and speak your own little language and not be part of the country, but then use our tax dollars to do it, there's a problem. But there's a way to do it and not sound so, I guess, racist, they say. But, I just think that's not the best play. And people are going to use it and put it in clips and kind of run politics.
Charles, I think that's very important. And the way that I would suggest framing it and talking about the exact same sentiment, but in a way that's probably easier to sell, is to talk about gratitude, right? Because it is so important in life, right? But any society, for America to be just, to be effective, to have cohesion and patriotism, we need to have a general sense of gratitude in the country. It's just one of the most noble aspects of any person, any society. Unfortunately, we've largely lost that in society, and certainly among immigrant groups who largely now show up with expectations and with demands, quite frankly, on the United States. My own father, who immigrated to this country, was unbelievably grateful until his death to what this country afforded him and to the fact that he had an American family and American children. Too many immigrants now don't have that worldview. And as a statistical ramification of that, I would point out that the majority of immigrant-headed households in America are now receiving some form of welfare, some means-tested benefit, the majority. That says we're not doing immigration correctly, and that's legal immigration to this country. Among Somalians, by the way, from CIS, which does great work, Center for Immigration Studies, among Somali immigrants in Minnesota, this is astounding, 81% are receiving welfare. 81% are getting some form of public assistance from coming here. And then on top of that, you have at least a leadership class of that Somali community, most notably Ilhan Omar, who displays the exact opposite of gratitude, right? Who dismisses and disparages the United States that saved her, by the way, from a abysmal refugee camp in Africa. And she openly pledges that her allegiance is not to the United States, but to her home country of Somalia. And so it's important, by the way, that we run this down, because for years, these allegations have swirled around her about her immigration fraud. And if she, in fact, did lie in her naturalization, that is a crime. She needs to be denaturalized and she needs to be deported back to Somalia. But the issue, of course, is way bigger than just Ilhan Omar. The issue is about what are the standards that we're using, the filters we're using for legal immigration? Who are we letting into this country? And to Kathy's point, are we expecting and demanding assimilation of them as a prerequisite to becoming a naturalized American, and making certain that, in my view, for the rest of their lives, they are not eligible for means-tested assistance in the United States for any kind of welfare. And we're not doing it correctly. We must fix this. My policy, at what I advocate, is it's time for a pause. We need to take a complete pause on legal immigration to assimilate the people who are here, to figure out what will make sense going forward, and to prioritize American citizens who, as we talked about earlier about the economy, are frankly struggling right now.
Can I make two real quick points about you? One, I think that with to Trump's approach, right, again, pointing out that he's right. Most of the Somalis who come here came because there was a civil war, because he said something about them fighting each other. So he's not making this stuff up. And secondly, when we talk about race and when he talks about Ilhan Omar and all these other things, we're ignoring the fact, we kind of forget the fact that there was a lot of fraud going on. So we get into the fight about personalities and all this stuff, and we forget about the billions of dollars they stole.
I mean,
yeah.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Oh, no. Again, it's the whataboutisms, right? So we want to talk about the racism and Donald Trump's not being nice and he's not being kind and he needs to use softer words. What about the fraud that is almost, that some reports say is approaching $1 billion? They took $1 billion from Americans who, who want to provide, who want to assist, who wants to help. And Steve, I heard you say once before that that the receipts of the GDP of Somalia, about a third of it, comes from Somalians who are here in our country. So how much of that almost $1 billion that they've stolen and schemed and have taken away from American citizens and sent over to Somalia? So
isn't there a guy in Maine from Somalia who did that, who sent money there? He was running for office in Somalia, and he was trying to start a paramilitary organization down there. He was using tax dollars that he stole.
And so we're constantly talking about the whataboutisms. Oh, Donald Trump needs to use softer, kinder words. The left is not soft. The left is not kind. They are brutal. They were forcing people to take a jab, whether they wanted it or not. They were getting people fired. They swung open the borders of our nation, allowed 20 plus million illegals to just walk right into our country and walk into some of the most desperate of neighborhoods within our own country. Look at fentanyl and all of the things that we have had to do. Look at what we're finding out about January 6th and how they just trampled on people. People committed suicide because of all the things that they were going through with January 6th. And now all of a sudden I'm supposed to use nicer, kinder, softer vocabulary so that I don't hurt someone's feelings.
Not you, just Trump.
People out of our country.
It's so interesting because I'm very mind divided on it. I was on CNN last week, the Monday and the Tuesday after the Somali story broke. And on Monday, they didn't cover it. It wasn't one of the topics. You're on for the whole hour. It's 4 topics, like the main stories of the day. They didn't cover it. I brought it up, but it wasn't one of the topics. But by Tuesday, because Donald Trump had called Ilhan Omar garbage, that was one of the topics. So at least the liberal audiences heard about the fraud, but only because they were outraged about how Trump was talking about it. Steve, you wrote a Substack about this. Tell us a little bit about what you uncovered in your investigation.
Yes, well, and as Kathy mentioned, I was astounded to learn this, that 1/3 of the GDP, 1/3 of the economy of Somalia is remittances, almost all of them coming from the United States, a lot of them coming from Minnesota. And we now know at least a large portion of that being fraud, being simple theft. It's not hard-earned money earned in America. And again, we know that 4/5 of Somali immigrants to the United States and Minnesota are on welfare. So living on the public dole, sending money, some of which is stolen, back to their home country of Somalia. And what I wrote about in my Substack, it's CortesInvestigates.com, I'm actually connecting that scam to the scam of Ukraine. And I believe in both cases, what we have is foreigners effectively stealing at scale, from the hardworking taxpayers of the United States. And again, with the best of intentions from America, of an open, in the case of the Somalians, an openness to foreigners, an openness to people who are fleeing war. In the case of Ukraine, trying to assist a nation that has been abused and invaded by a tyrant, by Vladimir Putin. But yet, in both cases, Zelensky and the Somalians, they are defrauding the United States. They're doing it on a massive scale. And at a time, that's never okay, but particularly not at a time when Americans are enduring a lot of economic angst and pain here at home. So it is time for us to stand up for ourselves and say, we will not tolerate being abused by foreigners. We will not tolerate systemic corruption. And we're not afraid to say, and part of why I connected Somalia with Ukraine is there you have a black nation in Africa, you have a white nation in Europe. Both of those countries have widespread cultures of corruption and fraud. It's not about race. It's about the culture of that nation. And we must realize that. And there's nothing xenophobic or racist or bigoted about recognizing that when places have cultures of fraud, where it is systemic and where in some cases it's not even looked down upon, we need to be extra careful about how and if we even interact with those countries. And I believe the United States has been completely scammed by foreigners in Ukraine and by foreigners in Somalia.
Absolutely brilliant. Equally infuriating. It has nothing to do with race. Charles, I think you're right that a lot of people hear Trump's comments on Ilhan Omar, Black people, and do feel, well, only a racist would talk about somebody that way, whether they're right or wrong. I don't believe Trump is racist. I guess my question to you is, do you think the next iteration of MAGA, the next MAGA leader, the next GOP presidential hopeful will get more support from the Black community? I mean, Trump got a historic 25% of Black men. Or do you think that's because he knows that actually he was popular in that community before he ran for office, and that, it's going to be business as usual for the GOP going forward in 2028?
That's hard. I think it's probably going to be a mix. Trump is so unique in that he's able, whether you like it or not, to understand the landscape and speak in a way that he can just cut through the noise. So, and not knowing who that next person is hard to say. I don't think they'd have to be really bad, which we've seen before, but they'd have to be really bad to go back to what it was before. So they got to, be able to hold some of those gains. But that's the reason why his increase was so large amongst Black and Hispanic men and not so much for women, because I don't know if we can say this on the Sean Spicer show, but there are differences between men and women. And so because of that, Trump could say something and women would be like, oh, I'm so turned off.
Right.
And the guys would laugh.
Right.
People is like, oh, that guy's so funny.
Such a
right.
good
They
point.
think it's funny. And they're like, and I wouldn't say it that way. Like I said, it seems like I'm contradicting myself because I'm saying I wouldn't say it that way, but I'm not offended by it. Right. So a lot of the people, guys would hear it and like, but he's not wrong. That's something. Right. Now, maybe he shouldn't speak the way we speak in the barbershop, but that's what we would say in the barbershop so they can relate to it. I don't think the next person would do that because they're going to have advisors in their ear or whatever. They got to be whatever their personality is. So they're going to lose some, but depending on who it is, to be fair, what I think will probably happen if the GOP finds their next leader and he's a strong leader and he kind of can read the landscape, he'll take enough from Trump that he can use without making it seem fake like Gavin Newsom tries to do. And then use part of his own personality, and he'll lose some of those MAGA people, but he will gain some of the people who are turned off by Trump's directness. So there'll be a balance. That's my guess, but it would depend on who the person is.
Yeah, I was recently giving a talk to a group of high school kids, and one of them was like, you said Trump is not racist, but, he kept saying that Kamala Harris wasn't Black, that she was Indian. And I was like, have you ever been in a barber shop? Because, that's the kind of thing you hear a lot. Kathy, same question to you. Do you think that what should the next GOP candidate, what should the next iteration of the GOP focus on in order to grow that share of Black voters rather than shrink it?
Yeah, I agree with Charles. Donald Trump is very unique. People did not vote for the Republican Party as much as they voted for Donald Trump. And J.D. Vance looks like he can carry a lot of that mantle. Who knows? But I think, and maybe Steve can speak to this better, whether or not with the big, beautiful bill that starts in January, if there will be enough time from January to November to see many of those policies and laws actually begin to manifest themselves in the lives of average Americans. And so that is what the focus needs to be on, affordability. Hopefully your viewers, Sean's viewers, are pick it, are picking up on the common theme throughout everything we've talked about that has a direct impact on affordability, whether we're talking about the big, beautiful bill or whether we're talking about the fraud or the illegal immigrants or anchor babies. All of these things are not disconnected. It is a finely threaded line that runs through all of them and right to our kitchen tables.
All right, guys, fall's upon us. That means if you want to have a luxurious night's sleep, do what I do. Switch your sheets over to Boll & Branch. It's like staying in the nicest hotel you've ever stayed in your life. I feel like I close my eyes and I'm like, am I in the really nice hotel I stayed in once? But you can do that at home every night. Here's the kicker. To get Boll & Branch sheets, you have to use my URL, Boll & Branch, BOLLAND branch.com/Spicer. You got to use it exactly like that. BollandBranch.com/Spicer for 25% off and unlock free shipping on your first order. Some exclusions apply.
And with that, we will turn to the winners and the losers of the week. Let's start with you, Steve. Who lost the week?
Who lost the week? I'm going to go with J.B. Pritzker. Might surprise you that I'm going with a governor, not somebody, necessarily in Washington or not always on the national stage. But the reason I want to pick on Pritzker, and he's not the only governor doing this, but these Dem governors have insisted that they're going to continue to tax tips. I think this is very big news because under President Trump, thank goodness, hardworking people, working class people who make their living from tips, waiters, waitresses, car parkers, people who drive for Uber or Lyft, they are no longer going to have to pay taxes on tips. But states like New Jersey, New York, Illinois, California insist that they are going at the state level to continue to tax them. I pick on J.B. Pritzker a lot because he effectively, through his horrendous mismanagement of the state of Illinois, ran me out of my hometown of Chicago. I now live in Tennessee. I'm a cultural and political refugee to red America, but forced out by Pritzker. So he's my loser of the week. My winner of the week on the other side of the equation for the economy is Scott Bessent, who I think just continues to do a magnificent job. I think he is the most valuable member of the United States cabinet. I think he gets affordability in a way that very few people in Washington, D.C. do. I'm glad he's in the president's ear. I'm glad he's doing a lot of media. Scott Bessent is my winner of the week.
Kathy, winner and loser.
Okay, loser is I too am going to pick on a governor, and that is going to be Governor Josh Shapiro, who signed the Crown Act, an amendment expanding Pennsylvania Human Rights Act to include hair texture and protective styles like braids and Bantu knots and, whatever else. What a loser. How stupid is this, right? Black people, there are 99 problems in the Black community, and hair racism is not one of them. And in 2022, 916 people filed a complaint under so-called hair racism. 916 people out of a state of roughly 13 million people. That's effectively impacting 0.00007% of the population. It is, but of course, he did a big to-do at a Black hair salon. First time he probably ever went into a Black part of Philadelphia at a Black hair salon. And he stood behind a bunch of Black women, loud mouths, and just kind of talking about how they won something. They won nothing. It is exhausting, and it's all about optics. So Josh Shapiro is my loser. The winner in the reverse sense, as you know, I went on to Roland Martin's show, talk about the biggest Black grifter ever to exist. And these grifters, one of the things, by reading the comments as I was on air, I'm talking about hair racism, and all they're doing is discriminating against my hair. It's a bunch of Black people talking about my hair. And
you need a Crown Act.
I know. I was like, I need to get, I was about to scream hair racism, but I decided not to. But, but one of the things that I realized is that these Democrats, they have the Black community's mind on lockdown. Now, yes, some of them Donald Trump was able to appeal to, and he was able to pull them over. But by and large, they see racism everywhere and in everything. And in the reverse sense of a winner, these grifters are winning. Roland Martin doesn't believe the things that he's saying, but it's profitable to him. And so these click chasers, they appear to be winning right now in the reverse sense of the
Wow.
word. It's not a good thing, but
Yeah,
there you
Kathy,
have it.
your winner is so bleak and dark. Charles, what about you? Winner and loser?
I hate to be so much like my buddy Kathy.
I
And I'm
know.
going last, but my winner's going to be one too. You're definitely not going to like it, Batya, but maybe it would move people to move away from so much focus, because my winner's Candace Owens.
Ugh.
That's funny because she's my loser.
But they won't stop talking about her. Her podcast is going up so high. We keep giving her so much air, right? So whatever her intentions are, we collectively, not me, but we are propping her up. So she's winning because every chalk, CNN's talking about her, Batya's talking about. I'm like, please stop talking about Candace Owens. So she's winning in the sense that, kind of like Kathy's sense of a negative winner, but it may not be positive news, but as long as they're talking about you, they say, right? And my loser is the Somali immigrants, because Trump's coming. Right? He's that fraud has opened up, and not just the fraud so much as them openly
that's interesting.
Attacking him, saying you're racist, or I wish he would come here because now ICE is specifically looking for them. So now
your loser is a positive one. That's a nice counterbalance. I
countered the other one.
I think Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes are the big losers because a lot of their engagement was shown in studies this week to be foreign bots. And Erica Kirk literally went on Fox News to repudiate their junk. I just feel like there's no coming back from that. I think that she's just a sideshow at this point. No one could possibly take her seriously anymore. I don't care how much money she makes. She's out. And I feel like what was being portrayed as like a split on the right was revealed to be what I have been saying all along, a split between content creators and actual conservatives. And I feel like their day is done. The winner for me is me, because I got to have this amazing conversation with the three of you. This was truly, I think, the best conversation anybody's had this week. I so enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me and for this amazing show.
Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.